I'm going to give you the inside scoop on a little movement called Coffee Outside, but first my conclusion. You're all welcome to join us at Coffee Outside. We meet most Friday mornings, summer or winter, in a little park by the north end of the high-level bridge. If you're on your bicycle, if you're in the neighborhood, please make a point of stopping by. Because actually, next to appreciating coffee and appreciating the outside, appreciating stopping is what you have to do to appreciate coffee outside. I think that stopping is an overlooked good of riding a bicycle in the city. It's completely overlooked when we seal ourselves in our automobiles. Stopping can be existentially difficult for some motorists because I think being in traffic today means being in the story, the fast forward story of getting from A to B as quickly as possible. That's what those maps on TV are all about. Commuting, like watching TV, is now all about uninterrupted flow. But bicycle riders in the winter can play with this idea that uninterrupted flow is an unquestioned good. A couple of weeks ago, I was pedaling home from work with a friend, and the winter moon was hypnotic. We stopped, went back against the tide, and watched the moon from the bridge. On our bikes, that moon was just a big rewind button or a record button. You see, bicycle riders are not just A to B people. Yes, we enjoy getting where we're going as quickly and smoothly as possible, especially in winter, but there's an alphabet of experience between A and B. On our bikes, it's just easier for us to stop and live some of the good stuff that might be missed in the flow from A to B, good stuff like the MOON. We've been meeting under the moon for Coffee Outside for going on 3 years now. Some bring coffee in thermoses, some bring extra for others, some grind their own beans on the scene. Stefan brings tea. He's the nonconformist. There are about 50 of us, 20 or so regulars. Some quick introductions. Darren is an emergency room doctor at the RA. He will get you breathing and keep you laughing. Eric works with military veterans. He knows his music. Ellen knows her craft beer. She teaches English as a second language. And Molly works in healthcare. She races fat bikes and she can communicate with plants. We are a slower moving winter mosaic. We've got a couple of lawyers, engineers, writers. Chris, the weather nerd, teaches us the beauty of data about wind and snow. Stefan, the nonconformist, is a scientist who teaches us about things like how frazzle pans form in the river. We're an intriguing blend, which gets you thinking about coffee itself and bicycle riders themselves. In some ways, we're not the same at all. I mean, coffee does not do well exposed to the fresh air and the light. It's best stored in hermetically sealed containers, like some motorists in their vehicles. But in another way, coffee and winter bike riders do life exactly the same way. We have figured out that to extract more flavor out of life, we have to unseal ourselves. Being a bicycle rider in Edmonton in the winter means getting out there and into more of the flavor of the city. A cup of coffee participates in the same logic. You see, a coffee bean itself is so densely packed that simply flowing water over it misses most of the great flavor locked inside. So we grind the beans, we increase the surface area so the water can get at those good flavors. To get at the richer stuff, a coffee bean and a winter bicycle rider in Edmonton are both open to a bit of grind. Which gets you thinking about bitterness. I mean, a cup of coffee is bitter when that extraction process happens super quick. We drip about the weather, we call it bitter when it flows right through us, when essentially there's nothing in us that's up to making it stop. It's been my experience that coffee outside helps make us up to it. Dressing with the weather, stopping for coffee, not just going for coffee, stopping for coffee. It all means that the weather meets some personality along the way. It meets some human beings. Coffee outside is just a big cup of metaphor. Because Agent Cooper from Twin Peaks was right. He was onto something when he said there's nothing like a good cup of coffee, to which we would add a good cup of coffee outside, to which we would add a good cup of coffee outside of ourselves. Let's confess, bicycle riders and coffee drinkers can both at times be a little bit self-absorbed. So we've used coffee outside for a winter clothes ride for a local youth shelter. It was about -30 the day that we rode our little caravan of a decent haul of winter garments in for teenagers whose challenges in the winter season extend beyond finding the perfect wicking layer. And we've used Coffee Outside for a turkey ride. When Alan in our group heard that a local diner had lost its food sponsor for an annual Christmas time dinner for its less fortunate neighbors, he said, hey, they think we're turkeys anyway, so let's show them what kind of turkeys we really are. He put the word out, and we cycled 25 birds in to help keep the event going. When a police spokesman scoffed at money City Hall had set aside for suicide prevention barriers on the high-level bridge, in a friendly way online, we passed the helmet and we raised $2,000 for a local suicide awareness and prevention agency. Now, $2,000 may not seem like a lot, but it was enough to get a doctor you've already mentioned in his kilt in the McPherson tartan on his bike in -20-degree weather to lead us on a ride. That's what Darren said he'd do if we raised $2,000, so we did, so he did. We had a ball, and in the end, so did he. Coffee Outside has taught me that while we are all racing from A to B trying to save seconds here and there, other forces threaten to flow right by unnoticed. Things like the weather, taking with it our sense of loving where we are right here, right now, but also the needs of others. They should meet something in us and draw something out of us. So, in conclusion, join us for Coffee Outside. Find us at coffee_outside on Twitter, and join us for the friendship, for the laughter, for the outside, for the coffee that brews up a kind of community when you stop to drink about it. Stefan says you're free to bring tea. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. That was great.